Everyone. I want to welcome each one of you to our second Interlibrary Loan Interest Group webinar, and thank you all for attending today's meeting. Without forgetting to welcome our speakers for today, Margaret Nell from the University of Pretoria, Roselle Jansen van Vieren and Mahlodi Muhlapi from the National Library of South Africa, and Victor Libilo from the University of Johannesburg. I am Mariam Tweni, the chairperson of ILLIG, and I work at the University of Pretoria. Regarding the house rules, I would like to ask you to mute yourself and turn off your videos. You are more than welcome to write your questions in the chat if necessary. Therefore, it gives me a great pleasure to announce our first speaker at today's meeting. Our first speaker is Margaret Nell from the University of Pretoria. Margaret Nell is an Assistant Director and Head of Library Technical Services at the Department of Library Services at the University of Pretoria, South Africa. With bachelor's degree in Consumer Science and Information Science, she began her career at the University of Pretoria in 1997 at the Veterinary Science Library. In early 2017, Margaret moved to the main library to assume her current position. She is also a PhD candidate in the Department of Information Science at the University of Pretoria and has authored numerous journal articles and book chapters, as well as presented at the numerous national and international conferences. Margaret's topic is resource sharing, why libraries have to collaborate to give access to information resources. Over to you, Margaret.
Thank you, Maria. As you can see, I joined physically here at the Veterinary Science Library. I just want to share my presentation. Can you see the presentation?
Yes, we can see the presentation.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for inviting me to present here. I hope I will be able to learn you something and also share all the ideas that I got over the last few years I hope you will learn something regarding ILL with that. So the topic of my presentation is resource sharing, why libraries have to collaborate to give optional access to information resources. And I will basically talk about this from the perspective where I will look at trends in academic libraries. Although I focus on academic libraries, this can be also applicable in some ways to public libraries and school libraries and other libraries. But the idea is to look at what these trends have on resource sharing. And I hope at the end of the day, I will be able to answer the question, why is it important that libraries need to collaborate to give optional access to information resources? So as you know, a lot of research or a lot of things is, libraries are involved in a lot of things, but our main mandate is to empower our users with knowledge, but we also need to be in the forefront of technology, and innovation is one of the other main things within our scope. So we need to know what's going on in the information as well as the technology environments. And therefore, every year or two, a few reports come out regarding trends in academic libraries. And some of the main reports which I used to compile my presentation today is the ICRL one, there's one from OCLC, there's a few, and also look at recent publications that was written and reported on trends in academic libraries. And as you can see, most of these are from the USA, there might be one or two from Europe, and that for me is an issue. I really tried to find reports on what's happening in South Africa, but there were no reports written about our trends. And maybe this is an opportunity where us as academic libraries and also some from the perspective of our library association can maybe think of compiling reports of what's happening in South Africa and specifically in librarianship in South Africa. So to start these reports, they focus on the macro environment. So they look at what's happening in the social, technological, economical, and the environment as such, and the political environments. And it's interesting, although these things are reported of what's happening overseas, a lot of them are similar of what's happening in South Africa. Also, regarding the social environments, students are much more social in their way of learning, and they need different kind of spaces. And we are at UP, we are also busy working on strategies to address that. There's also new ways of teaching and learning, where there's more hybrid teaching. There's different kinds of programs in the curricula. So the whole social environment changed. And I think COVID also had an impact on that. And then I'm sure I don't even need to mention technology. If you just think of ChatGPT and all these new kind of things that we face, AI and the way of using technology also impacted hugely on the whole higher education environment. And then it's not only us who struggle financially here in South Africa, it's also overseas. Libraries, their budgets declined. There's a lot of demands for more money where money was moved to other ventures. So the economical environment all over the world are quite a challenge. Then we all are happy the summer is here, but we learned how global warming impacted on Europe and USA with fires and all those things. So the environmental issues are also high on the agenda, and it also impacts on institutions, universities, and so on. So all these things have an impact, and then obviously political. There's sort of more nationalism. There's also a way of relooking the normal political situations. And as I mentioned again, it's not only overseas, we have our own challenges here also. So over the last 2 years, if we look at what happened in academic librarianship, the main things that stand out was the COVID pandemic, which was something that libraries and universities all over the world were experienced the same challenges. But then there's also a new movement, and I will get to that later in my presentation, regarding social justice. And this is also has an impact on libraries. And then there was obviously also, and it's still on, the war between Russia and Ukraine, but also wars all over the world. It's just much more unstable political environment, which is mainly impacting on librarianship all over the world. So let's first look at what happened with COVID and what was the effect on that on libraries. We all were used to come into a library. We were very fond of our printed collections, and these things were all changed. We have now, this webinar is online, which were before COVID, we didn't think of having that. It was also, those times we had physical meetings where there was food and drinks and all those things. It was a huge effort to arrange those kind of meetings. And now we have it online, and the learning experience is still the same. You still get the same content, but it's so much cheaper, it's so much easier, and so much more people can attend. So all these things came out of COVID, but there's also budgets that's now under stress after COVID, and things like working remotely, access to libraries are all things that happened and that are the result after COVID. There's obviously other things, but I only highlighted a few. But with this, there's also now libraries experiencing staffing challenges. People were looking at it was so easy to work remotely. Why must we get back now? There's also things like salaries. People start thinking, but why are there so huge differences between the salary scales? The people can feel a little bit down due to things concerning librarianship. They feel like, is there still a future of the people after COVID didn't go to the libraries, and what will our future be? But there's also other stress, and some of them is now, again, taking care of kids while working. All these things are coming from COVID. But now let's look at other opportunities and trends in libraries, apart from those directly came out from COVID. Obviously, I mentioned earlier the new ways of looking at spaces. Although we have good ideas, we still need to balance that with budgets. And as you know, any building project is most of the time more than even budgeted, so it costs a lot. So these things have impacts on spaces. There's also new kind of spaces that are based. The spaces are obviously want to accommodate user needs, and so new spaces are like prayer rooms. There's the gender-neutral bathrooms. There's family friendly spaces, but there's also other spaces which ask for smaller changes, where there's charging stations, spaces where people can have like job interviews or listen to presentations. I think that is something that we also realized, that after COVID, where a lot of classes were now online, our students come now to the library and want a space where they can still participate in a class, but without disrupting the students around them. And suddenly, the big seminar rooms is too big for one person to have a one-to-one conversation. But the smaller spaces where they were asked to study quietly is also not sufficient for this purpose. Then spaces also have an impact on collections, and because the idea is collections are not used so much anymore, but we cannot get rid of them since they are from time to time still necessary. So a lot of collections are moved off campus. This also has is a result of the digital transformation, where most of the collections are online. Even with journals, there's so few journals nowadays that's being used, the printed journals, although some of them are still only available in print. So with the collections moving to offsite storage to open space for learning, it also has an impact on the usage and how users can still get that information that's in the printed journals. And that is one thing that I want you also to think of, the impact that these offsite collections can have on ILL. That's actually a challenge that we at the moment try to work out how we're going to manage our offsite storage facilities. Then open everything. I'm sure you were part of discussions from the last 20 years about open access, but open access is getting now to a huge point where we talk about the transformational agreements. I'm not sure if you all know what that is. That is agreements where we still buy the subscriptions, but the subscription now include that users can read the articles, but also the researchers can publish their articles in that journal without paying APCs, the article processing charges. So it covers the printing as well as the reading element. And this is getting fast to a stage where most of the big publishers have now transformational agreements in place. So then also open education resources where lecturers publish their research or their lectures online so that other universities can use that also. So these are all things that's happening in the open access environment. And I think that can have a huge impact also on ILL, but we'll get there later. Then I mentioned earlier in the introduction about technology. Just think of the impact of ChatGPT, for example, on how students learn, but what that ethical part of that also. But not only ChatGPT, there's other more and more AI that's built into how things are doing. Our library management systems, AI is built even more in those so that it can give you recommendations, it can work on your history, all those things are part of that also. There's even now they look at ways to do cataloging also based on AI, so assigning Dewey numbers and those kinds of things. So the work environment as well as the learning environment due to AI and technology is changing, but it's not necessary in all instances, meaning that the library will not play a role there. It means like we need to work differently. And then there's also makerspaces. More at technology is the virtual reality. There's also the Internet of Things, mobile applications, and accessibility technologies. I think technology changed the way that we are doing and learning, but it's not necessarily bad, and it's also not always so good. We need to just use it right and make sure that we are aware of the ethical implications of this. Then data is the huge thing, and I said data is the new gold. Not only for research, we have research data management plans, which are nowadays part of our postgrad students need to present that and say how they're going to manage their data. Data needs to be accessible and open so that if you did a research and someone wants to use your data, it must be possible to do that. And that also have an impact on our role in the library. There's also data analytics, which is also much more important. We base our decisions more on data. It's in that way there's new courses where data science is presented, and also data librarianship, which is now presented at several universities to equip librarians with skills to be involved with data. And obviously, for libraries to show their impact on the success of their universities, it's important that we use data where we can show we impacted on so many students' lives or researchers. Student wellness and building healthy communities is also another thing. These services goes beyond the traditional role of libraries, where libraries now, and it's at UP we had this where we presented dog therapy sessions on campus, and it was well received by students. But I thought it's only us who did that, but when I read, I saw there's a lot of libraries all over the world that do that. So it's our responsibility, because we are still the approachable people for students to come to be for wellness, to find wellness. Libraries are still supposed to do that role, and that's why we need to think outside the box to help our students and play a role in stress relief, and also playing a role in communities, where we open our doors so that communities can also find information and wellness in our services. Then user experience. It was always in a way present, but nowadays there's much more emphasis on ensuring that all our services and the work that libraries do is based on what our users want. And then with this, there's a lot of sessions to get feedback from users so that we can use that data to design new services and to look at how to make sure that our users are dealt with in the libraries. Then there's a new thing, they call it critical librarianship, which is a very prominent thing in libraries, overseas particularly, but it's also now getting to South Africa, where we need to relook our role in society and the library's role. With one of my colleagues, which is also on the leadership of Lihaza Dani Malan, we are busy. We sent in an abstract for a presentation on this at the Lihaza conference. So if it's accepted, you are welcome to come and listen to what is happening regarding critical librarianship in South Africa. But it's mainly to address the society, the inequalities, the challenges that society has from the librarianship, to look at what role can we make to promote social justice in our communities. There's also more about critical librarianship and the important role that libraries can play there. Then there's also the sustainable development goals, and there's a lot of pressure now for libraries to get on board of this. As you know, the sustainable development goals, the final date for those to be implemented is 2030, and we have like 6 years left, a little bit more than 6 years, to make sure that the goals are in place, and the universities in particular are encouraged to play a role in implementing these sustainable development goals. But also libraries can play a role, and I often link libraries to quality education, the decent work and economic growth, reduced inequality, peace, justice, and strong institutions. And we as libraries can play a large role in creating partnerships between the different entities. So what are these trends? How do they impact on resource sharing? I think my time is running up, but obviously, as you know, with our whole digital resources and the new or our integrated online platforms have now, they make it easier to share resources. It's not like in the old days. I remember when we stood for days and hours behind the fax machine, and later it was the aerial machine and so on. Now it's like just a click of a button and the other library gets the article. It's simplified, it's easier, but it's also with our networks also expanded. So but still, with all these new ways, there's of online information, there's also issues regarding fair use, the license agreements, copyright, all those things that libraries need to make sure that we still stay within these lines, and also assist our users to understand what is fair use and what is under copyright, and what are the license agreements regarding certain things. The open access initiatives make it also easier to find information, and then data and research data. Libraries also need now to be able to share more than the traditional materials. Now, in some cases, we need to share data from research data or other data which are required by other libraries. And then automation and artificial intelligence is also built in resource sharing practices. And then obviously there's an increased focus on user-centered services, which means like that users might need to information in different formats and in different ways. So keeping always in mind the user needs. So why is it then important that we need to collaborate? I think it's clear that it's for better accessibility, diversity, quality of information resources that's available, and optimizing the use of limited resources. At the end, we promote the lifelong learning, research excellence, and knowledge advancement of our communities. And I hope you learned something. I think resource sharing will always be part of us. Our way of working will change. We will we cannot stand and do it as we did it a few years ago. We need to change with the environment. We need to keep in mind these trends and make sure that our user needs are always our first priority, and and that we can be relevant. Thank you so much. There's some references also.
Thank you very much, Margaret, for your formal presentation. These changes have offered us so much opportunities to work differently, and to play essential roles in the essential of our researchers and students. I am sure you will agree with me that the future looks bright for us. Thank you so much.
This question.
Questions is coming later.
Well, okay.
And then on our next item, it will be our second presenters will be Roselle Jansen van Vieren and Mahlodi Mohlapi from the National Library of South Africa. Roselle Jansen van Vieren is the senior librarian at the National Library of South Africa, Pretoria campus, and the ILLIG National Library of South Africa representative. Roselle will be sharing the paper with Mahlodi Mohlapi from the National Library of South Africa. Their topic is the Southern African Interlending Scheme as resource sharing network between libraries. Over to you, Roselle and Mahlodi.
Good morning. I just want to apologize from the National Library side. We prepare a slideshow and a live presentation, but our internet connectivity is off, our service is off. So we are currently speaking to you via cell phone. So our sincere apologies, but we are still going to share what we wanted to share with you. I would like to introduce Mahlodi Mohlapi to start off with our presentation. Mahlodi, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Roselle. Good morning, everyone. As Roselle said, I'm the librarian in Interlending. We are here to present our topic as the South African Interlending Scheme as resource sharing network between libraries. We have our contents that says, what is resource sharing? Benefits of resource sharing between libraries, the South African Interlending Scheme as resource sharing network between libraries, and the SAIS Online. The second one screen says, what is resource sharing? Resource sharing in libraries refers to the practice of collaborating and exchanging materials and information among libraries to enhance access to information for their library users. Resource sharing enables libraries to extend the reach of their collections beyond their own holdings, allowing patrons to access a broader range of materials that may not be available locally. The other topic, the second topic that for the second screen is, what are the benefits of resource sharing between libraries? Resource sharing is crucial in ensuring equitable access to information, particularly for users in smaller or under-resourced libraries with limited resources or specialized needs. It increases access to information and resources for library users. By sharing resources among libraries, users can benefit from a larger number of resources and have a better chance of finding the information they need. Resource sharing saves money for libraries. It can lead to significant cost savings for libraries. Instead of purchasing every item users request, libraries can borrow or access resources from partner libraries. It also promotes cooperation and collaboration among libraries, as it fosters a spirit of cooperation and collaboration among libraries. Therefore, libraries can form partnerships, consortia, or networks to facilitate the sharing of resource knowledge and expertise. In our conclusion, we said resource sharing in libraries offers a wide array of benefits, including increased access to information and resources, improved research and learning outcomes, collaboration opportunities, cost savings, and improved operational efficiency. It plays a crucial role in enriching the library experience for users and maximizing the utilization of library resources. Yeah, then this is our presentation, and I can take this over to Roselle to explain to you about the SAIS Online. Roselle, over to you.
Thank you, Mahlori. So I will be speaking on the Southern African Interlending Scheme. The abbreviation stands SAIS, as a resource sharing network between libraries. As Mahlori has explained, there are also various methods of resource sharing. Amongst each other is the consortia, the networks, and so on. But also interlibrary loan is a method of resource sharing between libraries. It enables library to borrow material from other libraries on behalf of their patrons. If a library does not have a particular item, they can request it from another library that does hold the item. The requested item is then loaned to the patron through their local library. The Southern African Interlending Scheme is the resource sharing network between libraries in South Africa. I don't know if all of you know the information that in 1928, the National Library were asked by the then Liaza to be the facilitator and the administrator of a resource sharing network for libraries in South Africa. The National Library of South Africa is therefore then the coordinator and the facilitator of this resource sharing network. I had a beautiful image here I wanted to show you, but unfortunately I cannot share it with you further. But in any case, to take it further, members of SAIS have access to a wealth of information and resources of all participating libraries. Through interlibrary loan and document supplies, SAIS members have access to Southern African information resources, resources from the rest of Africa, as well as resources in overseas countries. A library needs to be a member of the scheme to do interlibrary loans with other member libraries. SAIS membership is also required when subscribing to Sabinet, who is providing the electronic platform for interlending through OCLC WorldShare ILL. This is very important that that you should be a SAIS member in order to do interlibrary loan transactions. So membership in SAIS entitles an institution to request and supply library materials, example, photocopies of articles and loans to and from other SAIS members. The requesting library is responsible for payment of items requested based on the standard national interlending tariffs as set by the National Library of South Africa. As you all know, there is now an annual subscription fee for SAIS membership, which is 500 Rand. And then there's also an annual subscription fee for the Gauteng Regional Courier Service membership, which is also 500 Rand. So the National Library, as the administrator, is responsible for the following: SAIS registration and library code allocation, the administration of contact details of SAIS members. It's also responsible to maintain the SAIS online database, which is has all the contact details of SAIS members to support resource sharing. So libraries are encouraged to update these details frequently on SAIS online, as well as alternatively via email. So we are also the supplier of interlibrary loan stationery, such as coupon and courier service books. We are also the facilitator of the Gauteng Regional Courier Services. It is a courier service between the two depots, the National Library of South Africa, Pretoria campus, as well as the University of Witwatersrand Wartenweiler Library. Parcels are collected and delivered once a week on a Thursday between the two depots. Each participating library is allocated a parcel compartment in the courier room at both depots. Libraries must fetch and deliver their parcels daily as required. The payment of annual courier service subscription ensures participation in this service. For those who are subscribed to the Gauteng Regional Courier Service, the deadline for subscription renewal for the courier service is at the end of September. We have started sending out sales orders for your SAIS membership, as well as your courier membership. And we would like to encourage you to pay your membership, because especially also the SAIS membership and the courier membership. If you haven't paid your courier membership by the end of September, your participation in these services will be suspended. We are asking the membership annual membership fee not to make money out of you. We are trying to recover our costs for the SAIS online database and also for couriering the parcels from Pretoria depot to Wits depot. So we are just trying to recover costs. So we are encouraging everybody to please pay their annual subscription fees. And then also, together with that, Maslori was supposed to give you an online presentation on SAIS Online. We just want to say to you here, please use SAIS Online, and you can use it to look at other people's contact details, but most important, please edit your own records online frequently. People leave their institutions, emails change, and then you cannot get your communication as you should if your details are not correct. So if any one of you do not currently have access to SAIS Online, please write an email to docdel, DOCDEL, @nlsa.ac.za, and then you ask us for the URL. I cannot project it at the moment for you. Then ask us just the URL to use, as well as if you do not have your password, you can ask us for your password and we will gladly send it to you. So I wish to thank you all for listening to us and make the time today to be with us. Our references was from List Network, Resource Sharing in Libraries, a brief information, accessed on 1 September 2023. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Roselle and Matlodi. Thank you for reminding us about the South African Interlending Scheme. This is what we need to look at and always update on our ILL Wealth Share Catalog. Thank you again for also reminding us about the resource sharing as an exchange material for the library, from one library to another, and exchanging the internet. Thank you so much. Our last speaker is Victor Libilo from the University of Johannesburg. Victor Libilo is a makerspace assistant. As a passionate advocate for creativity and hands-on learning, Victor eagerly took on a role of makerspace assistant at the University of Johannesburg. With a deep appreciation for the intersection of technology, art, and innovation, Victor committed to fostering an environment where students can explore, experiment, and bring their ideas to life. Victor plays a pivotal role in guiding students through the makerspace experience. They provide a invaluable assistance in utilizing advanced fabrication tools such as 3D printers, laser cutters, and CNC machines, ensuring that each student gain the necessary skills to turn their concept into tangible projects. Victor is also a reliable source of inspiration, always ready to brainstorm ideas and offer guidance on design and protocoping. Victor's topic is resource sharing, libraries collaborating to give optional access to information resources. Over to you, Victor.
Thank you, Maria. Good morning, colleagues. I'll share my screen now. Am I audible?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Thank you. I'll share my screen just now. Can you all see my screen?
Yeah, bo.
We can see.
Yes, we can see.
Thank you. Good morning, colleagues. My name is Victor Libilo. I am the makerspace assistant at University of Johannesburg. We are based inside the library. Yes, thank you. I have my outline is the introduction, resource sharing, sustainable development goals, makerspace recommendations, and conclusion. as other colleagues has just mentioned, that the libraries cater for all students. So yeah, there is no library that is able to satisfy all the needs of their users. And we actually need this collaboration. The second point is resource sharing, ILL, as our colleagues has mentioned. The sad part about our department, the makerspace, we have big machines. We won't be able to ship around like you guys are shipping books around, but we still can cater students from other libraries as well. And yeah, we have sustainable development goals. We will be looking at SDG number 4, number 9, and number 17. I'll move to the next slide. Yes, this is our contribution as the makerspace on the Sustainable Development Goals. Is SDG 9, SDG 4, SDG 9, and SDG 17. As the makerspace at the moment, what we are seeing is we have collaboration with other departments around our campus. We are collaborating with mechanical engineering, GSA, which is the architecture, Graduate School of Architecture, metallurgy, civil engineering, and jewelry design. We actually need these collaborations with the departments, with other libraries to be able to cater the needs of these departments. The lack of finances as well, the lack of more infrastructure space to cater for all the machines. We need to collaborate with other universities. We see a trend of students coming and sitting inside the makerspace to discuss projects and sorry, I'm breaking a little bit. I've got students who are busy disturbing me this side. Yeah, we need to collaborate with other universities to be able to offer our students proper services and enough machines to be able to support them in their research. At the moment, what we have done so far, we have collaborated with Simulhong, which is a vets makerspace. We are assisting DUT and City of Johannesburg libraries to build their makerspace. And we actually started a collaboration with Arizona State University. They visited our makerspace earlier this year, of which they are collaborating again or partnering again with our mechanical engineering students who they gathered here to actually design a wheel for the wheelchair. The normal wheelchair that is low cost for people with who lacks. They are designing that wheel that will be operating with a remote control. That wheelchair will be donated to this other school around Pretoria that is for people with disabilities. So on that as well, we are looking to do exchange students sometime next year with the University State of Arizona. Yes, so the project that we are busy at the moment with our local departments is mechanical engineering research at Kingsway campus are doing their prototyping as well on our side. We've been sharing information, even sharing machines with Tshimologong. So since we can't have all the machines that we can use at our space, we have Tshimologong that is supporting us as our students as well with more machines. And yeah. So we need to partner with other universities as well across the country, so that we will be able to give our students that more information for their research. With infrastructure, yes, we know that we don't have spaces as well. We need other universities to support us with the other machines that we can't purchase. It will be easier. It will make things easier for our students to have access to all the resources that we can have at our university. In conclusion, I would recommend that let's create this network where we can be able to work hard, work smart, not hard, and save money. Since we can't even afford to buy more machines, and we don't even have space. Thank you, colleagues. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you so much. You can close your presentation. Thank you. And thank you very much, Victor, for your formal presentation. Makerspace with emerging technologies such as 3D printers, virtual reality tools, encourages creativity, experimentation, and interdisciplinary collaboration. It is so good that you also share your resources with other people and institutions. Thank you very much. Our next item is questions and answers. Anyone with question? Is there anyone with questions?
Hello,
Good morning.
can you, sorry.
Hi, colleagues. Can I just ask Victor to just in short summarize what exactly is Makerspace? Because I'm a little bit lost here. We don't have that in my institution. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The Makerspace is a space where we use technology, machines like 3D printing, laser cutting, CNC machines, metal engravers. We have a bit of virtual reality and robotics, and we have all the hand tools that students will need to use. What we do is 3D printing. It's best 3D printing machine, the machine where students can actually, after designing, they can print their models. It's a machine that reads whatever they design, they save on the SD card, and the machine will be able to melt this plastic and produce whatever they design. And a laser cutter machine is this big machine. It's a big machine. It's a 400 kilogram machine that cuts and engraves. What students do, basically, mostly it's students from architecture that we work with most, and they use this machine. It cuts and engraves. They come and do their contours, they cut boxes, and yeah, they cut boxes to build their models of houses. And the CNC machine, it's one of this machine that caves wood. It uses a drill bit to cut and model wood into anything you want to do. So basically, it's that department where students comes and do things. It can be anything. We have students who come and start business from us as well, from outside the university. If you remember well, the laser cutter machine is the machine we used around 2020 when University of Johannesburg donated 7,000 face shields to the city of Johannesburg emergency services and the Metropolis guys during COVID. Yeah, it's that laser cutter machine. It's quite a big machine. We have 2 of those. And visual reality as well, it's those goggles where we just introducing that now, and we have Department of Metallurgy that is actually working with, not metallurgy, I'm sorry, human anatomy that is working with us at the moment. So they want to do what they are doing now. They want to do a visual reality on dissecting bodies and yeah. And robotics, it's coding. We are introducing that as well. We have students as well who come here to learn coding. So it's basically a department where every student's mostly the department, there is the architecture department at Bunting Road. They do have these machines, but the machines are only used by the students who are in that faculty. Other students don't have access to those things. So with us in the library, every student is welcome to come and learn. We have computers, more faster computers, more like gaming computers with different softwares. Students can come and use those computers as well. And we have big round tables where they can sit and design. We have a community of guys who are always in the makerspace every day. It's students from different departments like mechanical, electrical, and the students who are doing coding. What they do is they come and brainstorm. At the moment, they are working on the robotic arm. So the electrical students comes with their contribution. There's this one who's doing coding. There's this one who's doing mechanical. And they are printing. They started printing already some parts. And they are again working on this door lock that you can. The door doesn't have the handle, but you will be able to lock, open the door using this software app on your phone. So yeah, that's basically what they make. They any ideas that they come up with, they have everything. They must actually have everything inside the makerspace to be able to support and assist them to come up, yes, to do whatever they want to do. That's what we are trying to do here. I'm not sure if I explained enough.
Jane, have you got
Yes.
Victor?
Yes, I got the gist of the
Okay.
matter,
Yeah,
and
it's-
I
it's-
think I'll just make myself a favor one day and go to one of the libraries that has got those just to have a look. Then I'll understand even it much better. Thank you.
Where are you? Where are you based?
UNISA main campus.
UNISA Pretoria.
Yes.
Yeah, VETS has one. Not VETS, sorry, UP. UP has a makerspace as well.
Oh, okay. Thank
Yeah,
you.
that's the closest to you then.
Thank
Yes,
you, Victor. There is also a question here there for Vuyo on our chat. Vuyo is requesting this. In your presentation, you mentioned the issue of institutional collaborations, exchange of students. Can you elaborate a little on that? That's the question from Vuyo.
Okay.
Victor,
Yes.
can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Maybe you can start off because in your presentation you mentioned your collaboration with University of Arizona, right?
Yes.
And you also touched on students having to be transferred over. I believe that would be an issue of skills transfer. But then later on, you also mentioned the lack of funds. Now, I was just wondering how would that work, in terms of collaboration, because I believe generally, if one institution or organization collaborate, they intend to get something out of the collaboration. So you think you can maybe explain a little on that? How would one collaborate if Northwest or Free State University then decides to collaborate? How are they gonna? What will they gain from that?
Yeah. These guys from Arizona State University, they use NPOs, so they have people who fund them. And yeah, and on our side as well, when students use our equipment here, we charge them, so they pay because we need to be able to buy our overheads. 3D printer uses the filament, which is 300 rand a roll, and we have to get different colors, and we have to maintain our machines. And the laser cutter as well, they uses material, it's gray board, it's the MDF board, is perspex glasses. So yeah, there's a fee that they pay, so we actually generating money as we run the makerspace. We are as well, we have this task team that is for funding. We are looking for funding as well. And when we created this, when we started the makerspace, we got funding from Nedbank, of which we used some of the funds. Not all the funds were used to purchase the material. So I guess it's money that is available, and if we have to do anything to get students to move or do exchange students, we will have funds. We will have to make it work. Yeah, but as these guys came with their NPO, we are pushing that on our side to look for funding to support exchange students. It's something that we are looking to do. These guys, they came through the mechanical engineering department. They're here by us. We are basically at Dorfontein campus. Yeah, so they came through the mechanical engineering, and then they came to did their presentation here, engage with our students, and after that we had the discussion to look at exchange students. And yeah, we are looking for funders as well to push that. Thank you.
Are you okay, Vuyo?
Yeah. All right.
And
Thank you.
we're not only working with students. We did print some stuff for there's what's this, a private hospital next to us, not far from us here, Mill Park Hospital. So there are doctors who come and use our space. We have students who are in the work industries. I think there's two already mechanical engineering students who are working permanently. They come and use the space. So we are generating money as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there any questions from anyone?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
This is Cecilia Walter in Cape Town. I'm going to play a little bit of the devil's advocate, which means I'm going to mention some problems that I've had in relation to interlibrary loan. And sort of a general comment about some of the things that have been said about the trends in libraries. And I have to say that I'm a baby boomer, so that means I've been around a long time, and I've moved from carrying heavy printed indexes around when doing a literature search to the digital age. And some things that concern me, and one of the problems that I have is I work with masters and doctoral students, and quite recently I have had students who want chapters from ebooks, and the particular ebooks that the person wants are produced by a publisher, and I'm not mentioning names, which requires a subscription to access their ebooks. And one of the students actually wanted the whole book. And the only way we could find for her to access the whole book was that there was a print copy available in a library near where she lived. So having print copies can actually be very useful in the case of when someone wants to look at an ebook and they can't read the whole ebook because it can't be loaned. So I think this is something that has to be considered when building a collection. And though the institution which I work for does have access to ebooks, particularly when you're dealing with specialist ebooks in a particular area, this can be a problem. I think also, and this is a more general comment about collection use and collection building, is that if students don't ask for help because they can't see that help is available by there being, say, a reference desk or something like that in the past, if you build your collection assuming that those students don't need help, I think you're making a mistake. But the thing that is really difficult to deal with is the limitations that are the result of licensing by publishers. And libraries, I'm very sad that we don't have the density of libraries like they do in the United States or in Europe. So if one library in your area cannot supply, another one can perhaps supply something in another way. And I think we need to look at not just supplying academic material to other academic institutions, but also in terms of fairness and equity, making our collections available, making material outside our collections available to people in the community. And this is not possible if libraries have to stump up fees to join the ILL process system. And I'm saying this not as a criticism, but as something that we need to look at. And if I'm wrong, please tell me, because I have this problem with ebooks at the moment. and I'm probably jumping up and down too much about it, but if I'm wrong, please tell me. And now I'm going to be quiet.
Okay, Cecilia, we can hear you. Is there anyone who can say something maybe on Cecilia's?
Maria, if I can come in there, our previous library guide was on electronic books and electronic resource sharing. It really depends on the library that buys a subscription to e-books or e-resources or e-journals. That they would have to negotiate with the publisher for to be able to do interlibrary loan, to share that e-book or e-journal via interlibrary loans. I'm sure all of you, especially the academic institutions, do negotiate, and if negotiating, they can share their electronic resources. But unfortunately, if the publishers are not very, they do not trust the sharing of ebooks and so on via interlibrary loans, because they are afraid that their intellectual property and copyright might be violated. So it is a tricky situation. If you also look at overseas libraries, because we are sometimes doing interlibrary loans for SAIS member libraries overseas, usually also chapters or articles, we do find that a lot of the libraries that we want to ask the item from also states they do not give access to the e-books or the some of the e-journals, and it is reflected on their policies. So I can see also internationally that there is also a difficulty in accessing e-books as a whole, but chapters might sometimes be provided via interlibrary loans.
I quite understand what you say, and I mean, one of the things that's been going on for a long time, is that I use the Internet Archive a lot, and they've been an ongoing court cases being brought against the Internet Archive for loaning ebooks and making electronic content available. And the publishers particularly got incensed during the COVID period because the Internet Archive made certain titles available because of people not being able to go out and so on. And I mean, it's ironic that you can buy a paperback or a hard copy book, and you can give it as a gift, or you can lend it to your friend, or you can, but you can't do that with ebooks. And I know that publishers are concerned about this, but really, I mean, there have been studies that have been shown that people often go and, after, looking at an ebook, they will actually go and buy a book. And I have to say that I don't particularly like reading ebooks. I prefer to have a book in my hand, but I'm just an old fogey, so I can understand that. But I mean, really, I see it as an assault by certain publishers on the right of making information freely available, and it absolutely incenses me. And we don't in this country have the depth of libraries, as I said, that you do in the United States, or you don't have the huge consortia and so on that they have. And it really does handicap us and the scholarship in this country. And also it impoverishes the ability of the ordinary person in South Africa to have access to, to good scholarship and good reading. And if you're going to go and invest most of the money on digital resources, it's going to cut out a lot of people having access to, for example, ebooks, because they can't be borrowed. And you're going to be in another kind of pickle from the one that the fact that, people, aside from budget and so on, that people don't have access to print books. So it's another kind of pickle that's awaiting us. I'm sorry to go on and on about this, but it really is something that concerns me in trying to help students.
Hey, Roselle, do you also want to come in?
No, I said what I could think. Thank you.
Okay, I think Cecilia can get Roselle's contact so that she can explain everything to her. And
No,
thank
I'm
you
sure
so
we
much.
understand each other. It's just
Oh.
that on both sides, we're between a rock and a hard place.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Cecilia. It's anyone with any question or any comment?
Maria, are
Okay.
there no other questions on the chat?
Okay, please just mention it, Jane.
Oh, no, I was just,
No,
okay.
I did check. I don't see any.
Oh, okay.
It says new messages.
Let me just see.
Okay, if there is no other questions or comments, I think we can go to our next item. And our next item is the closure done by myself. Good morning again, colleagues. I would like to thank our presenters, Marguerite Nel, Roselle Jansen van Vieren, Mahlodi Muhlapi, and Victor Libilo for their wonderful presentations, and the colleagues from different institutions for attending the LIASA ILLIG webinar. We truly appreciate your support. A huge thank you to the committee, which worked very hard to make today's event possible. Roselle, Antoinette, Zakani, Jane, Josephine, Koketo, and Elias. Thank you for your contribution. Thank you also to everybody who assisted with the technology and LIASA, which provided the platform. And then today's event would not have been a success or of any value if you haven't attended. I think this was an excellent event. Thank you so much and goodbye, everyone.